going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Blue Crew? This is Ball Hawk, Fatima LaFawn of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody. Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host, once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live. It is the day after Christmas. We had a little bit of news this morning, followed up a little bit, got us a bit more, and now we're bringing in a panel of people to talk to us about it. Johnny Hutch Jr., how was your Christmas, and what are you thinking about the Detroit Lions heading into this weekend? Let's start with you, Hutch Jr.
Good, man. Had a good Christmas. Just kind of sat around and watched some of that Netflix football. I think that was a really good eye-opening experience for a lot of football fans. I think they should do that more often. I liked how clear the picture was. The sound sounded great. But yeah, now a little revenge game in San Francisco on Monday night, and potential to clinch the number one seed by then. So if the Packers do their job, so
Johnny, how about you?
Yeah, man. First, hey, Dan, congratulations, buddy. We got to say big time congratulations to you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody out there. Yeah, it was a fun weekend. A fun week here. It's weird. It's Thursday. It doesn't feel like a Thursday, but it is. Very weird. But no, it's a good week, man. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Before we get to the main topic of the day, just about 15 minutes ago, it was reported that the Miami Dolphins have allowed Shaq Lawson to unretire, be released. He can sign, Shaq Barrett, to sign with anybody he so desires. Johnny, let's go to you first. I know there's going to be a lot of Lions fans that look at that and say, hey, should we add him on? Obviously, if he comes on, maybe Calais Campbell, if he's released, might be more apt to come over here. Do you think these are additions the Detroit Lions brass are looking at?
I think they're going to be very picky choosy right now. I feel like they like a couple of the players that they may have coming back into the fold. I think they like what they saw in Chicago a little bit. I mean, you had Ife Melifonwu come back, and I thought made an impact in his first, run this season, sort of. And so I feel like I don't know if they make that move. I think if Calais Campbell became available, I think they'd entertain that a little more than Barrett myself. But I really think I don't see them really making a move here, Dan. I think they're going to stand pat with who they have. And I think they're going to reload here come playoff time. So I feel good about that.
Hutch Jr., what do you think about potentially, before we get to the main topic, potentially adding either Shaq or Campbell if he becomes available as well?
Yeah, I think like Johnny said, I think Calais is probably the big one, if anyone they add. I think right now, I mean, you're just looking at it. You're going to get Jalen Reeves-Maybin back probably this week. Anzalone, I would expect either later this week, maybe get his 21-day window activated. And then you probably get him back for Minnesota or the first playoff game. So yeah, I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to bring these guys in and then have to release them because you're going to have to make room for these guys. I expect a little bit more releases coming. So yeah, I like Johnny said, I think they're going to be picky now. It sucked to see David Long go because I really liked him, but at the same point, this is the part where you're going to get some of these people back. So. Yeah, I think Brad Holmes and Dan, I think they know what they want to do, and I think they're kind of relieved now that some of these injuries are going to start coming back and going to help this team.
So let's dive into the main topic, the purpose of this video. Sorry, I just wanted to address that since the news just came out before, and I didn't want to alter the thumbnail or change the course of the video. But Johnny, let's go to you first. There's a lot of speculation that Reeves-Maybin he's on the 21-day window. Alex Anzalone could start at any time, maybe this week, maybe next week. And then the big one that came out the Christmas Eve that Aiden Hutchinson potentially next week could start his 21-day window. Dave Montgomery is not on a window. He can return anytime. But you look at these guys potentially all coming back. Where do you think this takes, assuming they all come back, where do you think this takes the Detroit Lions as a team once the playoffs emerge?
Yeah, it gives them a ton of options. I think in the short term, Anzalone to me is the biggest one to get back if you can. Obviously Hutch he's a difference maker, so I'm not discarding that. But I just think This is personal. You saw him like limping a week ago into the stadium, and I just have a hard time projecting that out a month from now and saying, oh yeah, he's going to just step in and dominate. So to me, I think Anzalone is more of a plus if you get him back as far as what he does for your defense, what Aaron Glenn trusts in Anzalone, although they've been happy with Campbell too. So the question is, do you just take the green dot away from Campbell? I think out of respect for Anzalone, he probably gets it back. So in turn, I think it gives a lot of flexibility to the defense. I think although the linebackers were good last week, they could really use some depth. I'm sure those guys could really, use a little bit of rest here and there, especially as they key up for the playoff run. So to me, Anzalone's the big one. I think Barnes and Hutch are kind of a long shot. I think you got to sort of plan without them and move forward like that.
Okay. Hutch Jr., what do you think about any of these guys potentially coming back? Do you think, Anzalone can make an impact? Do you think Hutch, if he returns, impacts the defense at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Hutch is Hutch is a game changer, right? I mean, him just being on the field, but you're at that stage of, do you risk a future injury, and then is he out longer next year? So with him, it's like one of those things. I'm torn, right? Because if he walks in and he says he's healthy and he can play, he's gonna do right by what he's gonna do. But Anzalone, I think, just you can tell this defense misses what he brings to this team. He's such a downhill linebacker. He fills those gaps, in the run game. He's became quite the coverage linebacker. He wasn't great, for the first couple of years with us. He's kind of picked that up lately. And I just think his leadership and his mentorship to some of these guys like Campbell and these guys, I think our defense really relies on it. So, if getting Anzalone back is going to help, because, I mean, realistically, if anyone watched that Bills game, they literally targeted our linebackers, and that's the reason why we lost that game.
Yeah.
If we have Anzalone in that game, I'm not saying we win that game, but it's a little bit better game. Anzalone can cover some of those tight ends, things like that. But it was just one of those things where Anzalone is such a huge piece of this defense, and you could see they missed it, those ever since he went out. And getting him back is just going to be a nice piece for this defense, because then Campbell can kind of do what he wants to do. I think Johnny hit it right. I mean, you give the green dot back to Anzalone just because he's the veteran. He's had it for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And you just let Campbell play how he wants to play. If Campbell wants to play downhill, if you want him to cover, you do what you got to do. But Anzalone is just such that force in the middle for that run defense that bringing him back is just going to help, especially with McNeil now being out.
So let's talk about the secondary real quick, because that was one of the bigger thoughts with Carlton Davis going out. They shifted some guys around, moved Brian Branch, to the slot, as we all saw. And it seemed like the secondary actually was not bad at all. You didn't really notice, especially on setting the outside edge with a Meek. I thought he did a good job physically. Let me ask you, Johnny, you think Emmanuel Moseley, we've all heard about him. We remember him in San Francisco. Yes, it's been 2 years since he's been out there. Do you think there's any potential at some point he gets into the starting lineup?
I really thought we were going to see him last week against the Bears. I'm surprised really that we didn't get him. And I think it shows you what they value in Melifonwu. And then you just said it with Robertson. They were much more comfortable moving Robertson to the outside and saying, you know what, we got that on lock. We'll put Terry on the other side. And really the only bad play they had was that last play of the first half, right? They get beat by, was it Keenan Allen? And I think that's a misplay by Terry and Arnold and bad bracket coverage by Melifonwu. And I just think it's one tough play with a guy that you had coming in new to the mix, your communication, some things, and you have Terry and Arnold probably trying to make a play, and you missed one. So I wasn't mad at it. So with all that being said, I don't think we see a lot of Moseley. And some people have been saying, oh, it's a revenge game. You got to get him in there. They're not going to risk that. They need a victory, and let's hope for a Minnesota loss. And then we have 2 weeks to just get super healthy and feel good about ourselves. I see it happening, Dan. We're going to will it into existence.
I'm down with that. Hutch Jr., what do you think about the fate of Emmanuel Moseley at this point? Is he just going to be a special teamers and a backup, or do you think he potentially cracks the starting lineup at some point?
Yeah, I for sure, like Johnny said, I for sure thought we were going to see him just as depleted when Carlton Davis went out. It's weird, man. I don't know. I just don't know if the defense, like if Dan and Glenn trust him right now.
Right.
I've gone on account many times to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we release him going into the playoffs. Like, he's a special teams guy. Like right now, like Arnold's playing well. You're not going to bet your first round pick. Meek played well. You got Iffy back. You got Kirby. You got Branch. Like, I just like, if they need to make room and they need a roster spot because Hutch or someone does come back, like that might be a spot where they release Mosley and just say, hey, look, man, I'm sorry, but like, because like you got to think he's been healthy. He's been healthy for probably 3 or 4 weeks, and I expected him for sure in the Bears game. I expected him the Bills game, just to kind of throw him in there. But
Right.
he hasn't seen the field, and it's a weird one to me because like he's been healthy scratches, so it's not like something's come up and the team has kind of said something. So I don't know what's going on with Mosley. I just don't know if he's just not back up to speed as what we thought he was going to be. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see him get more reps. That way we can put him in during the playoffs or something like that. But it's just like one of those things. It's like, if there's a roster spot that's needed, I could see the team waiving him.
Dan may know better than I do, but I to me, what I keep hearing is he doesn't trust himself more than anything else. And I think it's like ever since he came back and had the 2 injuries, it just hasn't worked out. So he just doesn't trust his physicality anymore, and he's a different player. And I'm not, that's kind of what I'm hearing. It's unfortunate because I think they'd like to use him in a different capacity.
Sure, and I think we all get that. He's had so many injuries in a 2-year span that I get some of the question marks or the emotional aspect, maybe not the physical as much, but the emotional aspect. One of the guys we have in the thumbnail is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. It sounds like he's closer to being back. Do you guys think that, hey, he shores up, kind of the piece that David Long Jr. vacated on special teams and the depth chart at linebacker? How impactful do you guys think the return of Reeves-Maybin will be?
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece because to me, that's where your special teams is a miss, and so he may not make an impact starter wise, but I think there's where you have a huge piece on not only your punt return, punt gunner. I mean, he's all over the place. Plus, he's an animal and he's a tackle machine. So I think he makes a huge difference as far as depth.
Yeah, he's just another piece you plug and play, right? I mean, there's been times where some of our linebackers haven't been good, and then he comes in and he's all over the field. He's tackling, he's getting sacks. So yeah, I mean, he's just another piece that for a team is very thin at linebacker. He's a good guy to come in. And he knows the team. He's been with the team forever. He knows the playbook. The team trusts him. Aaron Glenn trusts him with his life. So it's just one of those things where you can put him in, and if Anzalone has to sit for a little bit, you can put Jalen Reeves-Maybin in and trust him. So
yeah. All right, and then let's real quick, David Montgomery. We all get it. He's not currently on the IR. Sounds like he's just going to rehab the bejesus out of his knee and get right. With that being said, what did you guys see? And Hutch Jr., let's start with you on this one. What did you guys see out of Craig Reynolds, Vaki, etc.? Do you think the Lions can take their time, really maybe give D-Money a month and a half off the rest before bringing him back? Or do you think that the Lions should just put him on the IR and move on from him?
That's one I don't understand. I mean, obviously Montgomery means a lot to this team. I think we can get by with Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs showed everyone why he was the number 12 pick in the draft. Everyone said that was a reach, but what he does alone just by himself because of his speed and his elusiveness, he changes this team in a different dynamic that Montgomery doesn't. You miss Montgomery on those goal line situations, on those short yard situations, but Gibbs makes up for him in the screen game or the check down game. He can take a 5-yard run and turn it into a 25-yard, pass. So Craig, I think, has just been one of those guys that he's a veteran. He knows how to play. But I mean, you've seen it even in Vaki, man. We ran a screen and he picked up, I think it was like 20, 25 yards. So I would have liked to see Vaki a little bit more in the run game. But I just think it's one of those things you got to be very careful with Montgomery. You don't want to rush him back off this MCL injury.
Right.
I think you just let him kind of play it out. You really don't need him the rest of the year. I mean, you're pretty much already in the playoffs, so you just roll with what you got. And if you get the number 1 seed, it's even better. Some of these guys get the rest, and then maybe he's back before maybe he's back week 18. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where we thought we lost him. He got 3 different opinions, and now he's like, nope, I'm not going on IR. I'm just going to rehab it. So,
yeah, I think the Lions were very supportive of him going to get the 3rd opinion, and I think he wanted to play. So I think more than anything else, they want that to be the case. But I agree with you 100%, Hutch. I think you don't force it back, but I think at this point they've done enough research to where if he feels comfortable, they're going to work him back in. And I agree with you 1,000%. The offense is different with Jahmyr Gibbs as a feature. You can do a lot of different things formation wise. And, but I also think it may, it's different when you get to the playoffs because you really need to have a running back that's going to pound for 2-3 yards. And there's some limitations with Gibbs right now. So I still question it. So I think they want to have him back, even if it's for the threat of, your 2-3 yard scamper. At least you have him there for play action and for other reasons. I feel good about him coming back. I think he is I don't want to say definite. There's no guarantees, but everything we're hearing, it sounds like if for the playoffs, he'll be here, which is good. They need him.
All right, last question for both of you guys. Won't make this the long video, but Johnny, if you had to foretell the future, if you had to look into your crystal ball of fate or whatever it may be, and you have to look at the final 2 games of the regular season for the Detroit Lions, how do you see them unfolding and taking us into the playoffs?
Oh man, what I wish for. Let's go there. I wish for Minnesota to just completely drop the bucket against Green Bay. I think Sam Darnold has his worst game of the season, and the Lions have a situation on Monday where the victory means everything. Means first seed, NFC North, and a 2-week bye. So that's what I see happening. Honestly, I think Green Bay is hungry. I don't want to say fraud for Minnesota because they've won a lot of games, but I just think this is the time where things start to turn a little bit for them. So that's what I see, and I'm gonna will that into existence, Dan. I like it.
All right, Hutch Jr.
Yeah, I'm right with Johnny, man. I think Minnesota is kind of skated by a few teams this year. Arizona being one. Seahawks had them on the rope last week. Now you're going to play an offense like Green Bay Packers. And Green Bay's defense is actually really good this year. They take away a lot of balls, so that's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I think they're going to let Justin Jefferson get his, but I think we beat San Francisco. And then we just kind of, I think that Minnesota game at home is going to be one of the best games probably televised. I don't know if they're going to make that a night game or what they're going to do with that. But hopefully, we have everything locked up we need because I will be at that game live, and I do not want to have that stress of watching that game. And
right.
God knows this is for the division and the number 1 seed. So, yeah, I'm with Johnny, man. I think the Minnesota's little Cinderella run is going to come to an end. So,
yeah.
Fair enough. All right, guys, everybody out there in YouTube land, if you would be so kind, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If there is some sort of news later today, like, hey, Lions signed somebody or whatever it may be, I'll try to get over to you as quick as possible. But, hey, why don't you each give a shout out, tell us about where people can find you, check out your great works. Johnny, hit us up and get us going.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, Dan. Yeah, Johnny Gas Sports will do a game preview here coming up tomorrow for the matchup here with 49ers, and then we'll be prepping for hopefully a playoff run. Again, Dan, I appreciate you, man. If you come find me on Johnny Gas Sports, we do just everything Lions all the time, game breakdowns, analysis, plays, Ben Johnson. We do it all. So I just appreciate your time, and I love the Lions. I love you guys. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. And Dan, congrats again, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Hutch Jr.?
Yeah, same. You can just find me on here. Dan, congrats again, man. Big accomplishment, man. Thank you for having us on here, man. We appreciate you letting us share this platform with you. You can find me on Twitter at the Only Hutch Jr. And you can find me on Catch My Vibe Radio, cmvradio.com. That is a website. We have all types of sports things on there as well. So obviously, give us a thumbs up, give us a share, man, and we'll keep bringing you the content you guys need.
All right, everybody, go enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you had a great holiday. Be a good human being. Do something kind for someone you don't know. See you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.